الحمد لله وكفى والسلام على عباده الذين اصطفى أما بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والذين آمنوا أشد حبا لله سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون والسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم اللهم انفعنا بما علمتنا وعلمنا ما ينفعنا وزدنا علما يا فتاح يا فتاح يا فتاح. Our biggest problem is that we have failed to understand who we are. This is our biggest issue. That's why we act the way that we act. We are slaves of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We are beggars in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We are absolutely dependent on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Nothing is in our control, absolutely nothing. And only if we understand that. Yesterday I was told that there is a family that we know in Ajman. They have come from the US, and subhanAllah, and they were visiting US, or I think they went there a month ago or a couple of months ago just to visit. They spent time between the US and UAE. And yesterday I was told that their 25-year-old kid passed away. So 24-year-old kid, right, ready to get married, planning to get married. He just slept at night, didn't get up in the morning. That's what I've been told. So subhanAllah, this is who we are. And there are many, possibly 17, 18, 19, 20, 25-year-old girls in this room. And possibly they think that they have another 50 years to live and they can do whatever they feel like, and as if they have the control over everything, and they can live their life their way. That's what they think. Let me fulfill my desires. I want to do this. I want to look in a certain way. I want to have certain things in my life. I have my dreams of having this sort of husband, these kids. I want to drive this car. I want to live in a certain house. That's what people have dreams about. And why are people dreaming about all of that? Because they think that they're going to live for another 50 years. I mean, subhanAllah, this is an example. When I was told that, it wasn't a strange thing for me. This is life. This is life. At another place, I also look at my 90-plus year old grandmother. She is on bedridden for last, I think, 4 or 5 years. Cannot go to the toilet on her own. She is so weak, right? Can't even turn her sides. Cannot even turn her sides. Can't move to the right or the left or sit straight. She is on a tube. She's fed through a tube. She's released through a tube. Subhanallah, just like a baby. No difference. Just like a baby cannot turn its sides. She cannot turn its sides on her own will. Just like a baby is fed through the mother's milk, she is fed through tubes. No difference. That's what happens to people if they live long enough. And in the middle, people forget. People think that they can do whatever. That's the biggest problem. This is issue number 1. Having no istihzar whatsoever of the very fact that we are absolutely dependent on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The fact that we can see because of Allah, the fact that we can talk because of Allah, the fact that we can hear because of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the fact that we can walk because of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the fact that we have dress because of Allah, so the fact that we have a house because of Allah, the fact that we have parents because of Allah ta'ala, the fact that we have husbands because of Allah ta'ala, we have children because of Allah ta'ala. You name it. Any single thing you name, it is Allah ta'ala has given us that blessing. We forget that. This is the base of every issue that we have. This forgetfulness, this heedlessness. There's a sister, she's the wife of one of my friends, and her husband, he came on deen, took bed, started developing himself. His wife did not understand. And he kept on advising her that you should, let's move together on this path of Allah. Let's all both do tawbah. Let's not do anything wrong. Let's follow sunnah. Let's follow sharia. She didn't understand. And she actually got against him pretty much. And he spoke with me, this is what's happening in the house. I told him, deal with your wife with love, with wisdom, inshallah, make dua. Things will get better. But he was worried that, I'm trying, she isn't, and then there are kids as well, now there's a problem and the husband wants that the kids, they take on deen and the wife doesn't. So of course, understandably so. And eventually he asked her, why don't you talk to, and he took my name, why don't you talk to Shaykh Saab? And, if there's any questions, you can talk to him. Or she said, I don't want to talk to him. SubhanAllah, one fine morning, I got a call, and from her, one day, I got a call from, I can't remember, it's 2-3 years ago or maybe more, something like that. So she said that, she was so concerned, please make dua for me, and I was wondering what happened today. I knew that she never wanted to talk to me. She didn't like me that much. What's happening? Why is she giving me a call today? And realized that, subhanAllah, she got up that morning, or she has been feeling it for some days. She had been feeling it for some days. I don't remember exactly. But she was not able to see properly anymore. And they went to the doctor and they told her that she is losing her eyesight. And she will, if it continues to happen like that, she will lose her eyesight absolutely. She will go blind. And now she is worried. And now, she wants me to make dua for her. And, suddenly her heart got soft. And now she wants to listen to everything, any dua, anything that I can recite, anything that I can read on a regular basis. I said, the first thing that you should read is your prayers. Your 5 daily prayers. And that's the basic. That's the starting point. And then, other things other du'as that you can make. But what I'm saying is, this is who we are. Allah Ta'ala can take away our eyesight any time. Just like Allah Ta'ala can take away our life at any time. A 24, 25-year kid, he had possibly never thought of that tonight that I'm going to sleep is going to be my last night. I'm not going to get up tomorrow morning. Right? He passed away. Allah knows. I don't know the details. How did he pass away? What happened? But whatever. That's sabab, right? That's sabab. That was his last night. Those were his last moments. Allah Ta'ala does not look at if you're young or you're old or you're a kid. And how many times a kid passes away. In fact, I just got a message from somewhere that somebody's 14-year-old or 13-year-old daughter, both of her kidneys suddenly failed. And they asked me for du'as. But I was just reading message when I was sitting outside. Just now, I was reading this message that make dua for one of my friend's daughter, who was 13, 14-year-old, whose both kidneys suddenly failed. Allahu Akbar. And nothing, no issue, and suddenly you realize your kidneys aren't working. And kidneys are a vital organ, right? There's some vital organs. And it's one of the vital organs. If the kidneys don't work, you will die. And you'll have to go on dialysis if both kidneys fail, because, this is a system that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put within us, that all of the filth of the blood, it has to be filtered out, and it has to go out through our urine. That's what the kidneys do, more or less. And subhanAllah, any kidneys fail means your vital organs are gone. Either you're on dialysis or you place your kidneys, and the doctors know that if you put on a kidney from outside, the body doesn't accept it, and you will have to go on medication in order to fight against the body, and it continues all your life until Allah Ta'ala has kept your life. But this is what happens. Suddenly something can go. It doesn't have to be, a step-by-step procedure that, now I'm going to get a fever, and then I'm going to get some symptoms, and then, 5 years later, something else will go, and 10 years later, something else will go, and then 20 years later, I'm going to die. It doesn't have to go like that. It can be sudden. It can be sudden. I've just gave you 2 examples from last 2 days. Yesterday, this death. Right now, while I was sitting outside, this message. What does it mean? Everything is in the control of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Every single thing is in the control of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Anything can go away any moment. Allah ta'ala can take away anything, any moment. Everything is a blessing of Allah. Our eyes are a blessing of Allah. Our tongue is a blessing of Allah ta'ala. Our ears are the blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Our limbs, our intellect. Right? If Allah ta'ala takes away ma'azallah, our intellect, we will go mad. Every single system that's running within us is from Allah. Right? And they're such a complex body. SubhanAllah. The digestive system, the respiratory system, the nervous system, the reproductive system, and all of these systems. Yesterday again, subhanAllah, these things happen so often, I even forget, because they happen so often. Yesterday somebody was telling that, somebody's mother's ovaries got removed, because there was some infection or whatever, the doctor said they had to be removed. It's a reproductive system, right? Everything is controlled by Allah Ta'ala. People want children, they can't have children. They try for ages, years after years after years, they don't get children. Allah Ta'ala controlling. People get cancers, skin cancers, blood cancers, breast cancers. SubhanAllah. Have you ever thought about that? Why don't we fear Allah? SubhanAllah. When we walk, when we display ourselves in front of non-Muhammad, when we take our selfies and then send it to those boys, right? And I'm so, Allah, it hurts me. When I see these young girls and boys taking selfies, naked pictures of theirs, and sending it to others on the Facebook messengers and the Facebooks and all of that. Don't they fear, like when these girls, they take their bare-chested pictures? Why can't they fear that, there is something called breast cancer? When these girls and boys engage themselves in zina, don't they fear that there are diseases that are tied to private parts? Don't they fear that when they enjoy themselves, touching each other, don't they think that there is something called skin cancer? The people get that. But people become arrogant and they say these mean words to others and rude words to others and look down upon others. Don't they think that their intellect is controlled by Allah Ta'ala? If they look down upon anybody, then what if Allah Ta'ala takes their intellect away and they become mad? And I told you, example of my grandma, right? I've seen her all my life when I was a kid, mashallah, very healthy, cheerful woman. And now she's, for the last 5 years, can't even go to the toilet on her own. And it's an ibrat. What if we are arrogant and look down upon others, and we are so arrogant about how beautiful are we, and how wealthy are we, and how smart are we? What if Allah Ta'ala gives us that long life, that we go on bed and become dependent on others, even to go to the toilet. Can't even change our size. Why don't we think about that? When we have this meeting with boys, secretly thinking that our parents don't know, Allah Ta'ala knows. Don't we fear Allah? Our problem is this, that we have forgotten that we are controlled by Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. That's our problem. I've seen things in my life. That's Ibrah. And it happens every other day. I talk to people tell me their stories. And you get so much, in awe of Allah. I've told this story many times. I went to one country and somebody invited me for, we were friends, we gave for dawah, for talks. And somebody invited us, a very, very wealthy family, mashallah. And we went to their house and you name a thing and it was there. Swimming pool, saunas, gyms, right? Subhanallah, their massage showers. You name it, it was in the house. Like a palace. The latest, the fittings, the best fittings, and subhanallah. He served us some snacks and tea, and we sat there, and before we were to leave, he called me in the room. He said, I want to talk to you in private. Relatively elderly man, maybe in his 50s or something like that, 50s, 60s. And he called me, he literally started crying with tears. And he said to me, you see all of what you see, but I have no peace in my life. I have no peace in my life whatsoever. He said, I cannot sleep at night. My wife cannot sleep at night. He said, we both take sleeping pills every single night so that we can sleep. Otherwise, we'll keep on turning sides all night long. The wealth cannot buy any peace whatsoever. You can buy mattresses, memory foam mattresses, memory foam pillows, but you cannot buy sleep with wealth. There was a gentleman that I knew when I was a kid. He knew my father. He was an industrialist in Pakistan, very wealthy man. So I knew him. He was like, and he would come to our house once in a while. Subhanallah, there's a proverb in English coming from riches to rags. I have seen it with my eyes. This man, very wealthy man, huge industries, literally lost every single thing and literally, came from riches to rags. I saw him with my own eyes. Everything is in control of Allah Ta'ala. You see people, what happened in the last few years in Dubai, that financial crisis? These people who owned buildings, right? Multi-millionaires, possibly billionaires, subhanallah, ended up in jails and lost every single penny that they had and had debts, in fact. Right? You might know some people around us like those who fled away from the country because they had debts. They had no choice but to flee away. Dishonored, disgraced. They think, people walk with their chest out, walking arrogantly on the earth, thinking they are so wealthy, and they own buildings and they're billionaires and all of that. And they think that they should be honored and everybody should talk to them with honor. Disgraced, dishonored, blacklisted, cannot enter the country anymore, fled away. Some people ended up in prison. Subhanallah. وَتُعِزُّ مَن تَشَاءُ وَتُذِلُّ مَن تَشَاءُ بِيَدِكَ الْخَيْرُ. Ya Allah, you honor whoever you want and you disgrace whoever you want. In your hand is every power. Every good is in your hand, Ya Allah. We forget that. Allah Ta'ala gives honors. Allah Ta'ala He can disgrace anybody. We must learn this, understand this. Yet, we don't control our eyes. We'll watch at filth.
movies, dramas. People asking, can I watch drama that don't look at men, I only look at these women, I like stories. SubhanAllah. What stories are we talking about? Romantic stories, love stories, so-called love stories. There will no men around you think. There will be no music in that. Waste of time, heedlessness, taking you against Shariat. What stories? This is the least. Then people move on, watch this Hollywood and this Bollywood, full of filth. Literally full of filth. People getting undressed in front of others, getting intimate in front of others. Filth. SubhanAllah. You take a 7-year-old kid, 5-year-old kid, who has been kept in an innocent environment, a good environment, right? You take that kid in front, right here, in front of you, pull his trouser off. See what will happen. He will start crying. He will think that he is disgraced. Right? And here are we. This is fitrah. This is the natural intrinsic nature of human. That you take their clothes off, they will start crying in front of others. And here are people getting undressed in front of everybody, and we are looking at it and enjoying it. And then people watch these X-rated movies, pornography. Allah. Don't you vomit? SubhanAllah, just the thought of it is so disgusting. And people enjoy that. And on top of that, people are taking their own selfies and sending their naked pictures. And then on top of that, people are meeting with, non-mahram men and boys and girls and engaging in physical activities and go to the level of zina as well. And so that's the worst. Allahu Akbar. Not for a moment do they think when doing all of these, from watching dramas or movies and pornography and having relationship with boys on the Facebook, sending messages, getting engaged in their physical activities, zina. Not for a moment do they think that they are in control. They are controlled by Allah Ta'ala. Not for a moment do they think like that. Don't they think that Allah Ta'ala can take their eyes away? Don't they think that Allah Ta'ala can take their intellect away? Don't they think that Allah Ta'ala can take their limbs away? So, I think my Shaykh was telling me this, that in Pakistan, somebody was brought in the hospital. He was talking to me, he was telling me that how do the sins affect people? And he was telling that every single sin has a bad smell attached to it. In fact, there's a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ that when people lie, such a stinking smell comes out of his mouth that the guarding angels run a mile away from him. So he was telling that every single sin has a smell associated with that. Sometimes Allah Ta'ala shows it to us, or at other times Allah Ta'ala hides it from us. But the angels smell that. And angels, whenever people are smelling, then angels run away. So he was telling that sometimes, as I said, Allah Ta'ala shows it, that a person was brought into the hospital in Pakistan, and he said that he had some infection in his private part. And he said it was stinking so much that the nurses actually went and requested the management staff of the hospital that if they can be excused from attending this patient, because they said we cannot stand in the room. Allah Ta'ala sometimes shows it, and then we are engaged in these activities of our private parts, fulfilling our desires on our own. SubhanAllah, where is sabr? I understand young people, their desires. Allah Ta'ala has made us like that. Where is sabr? Where is patience? Why can't we be strong enough and say, no, this is haram. I cannot. Allah Ta'ala is looking at me when I fulfill my desires by myself. Where is that awareness? Allah is looking. You don't do it in front of your mother. You don't do it in front of your father. You don't do it in front of your brother. Sayyidina Ata bin Abi Rabah, rahimahullah ta'ala, he said that Allah ta'ala put this thing in my heart, that tell my slaves, when they sin, they close all the doors through which the creation looks at him. That when people sin, they close every single door through which the creation, the makhluk looks at him, but they do not close that door through which Allah Ta'ala looks at them. Do they think that Allah Ta'ala is the worst of them all? People close every single door through which the makhluk looks at people. They do not close that door through which Allah Ta'ala looks at them. He said, tell people, do the people think that Allah Ta'ala is worst of them all? That you don't even care about Allah. Don't sit in front of your brother, your mother, your father, but you don't even think for a moment that Allah Ta'ala is still looking at you. You hide from your parents and go and meet with these boys. Don't even for a moment think that Allah Ta'ala is still looking at you. You send these messages over the Facebooks and your WhatsApps and your SMSs and your selfies and all of that. You look at the YouTubes, that filth on the internet. Don't for a moment you think that Allah Ta'ala is still looking at you. SubhanAllah. One small little change in our bodies will put us onto bed. Right? Temperature. We have a normal temperature, whatever it is. 38.6 degrees Celsius or whatever. 98 point whatever. 6 degrees Fahrenheit. Whatever it is. Right? It goes like 0.2 degrees above that normal temperature. We are on the bed. 0.2 degrees, 0.4 degrees. Not 50 degrees more, not 30 degrees more, not 20, 0.4 degrees more we are on the bed. We say we have fever. We are taking medicine. We can't talk. We don't want to talk to people. Right? 1.4 degrees more, we don't even think about our desires anymore. Because we have fever. We don't feel like eating. We don't feel like talking. We don't feel like doing anything. Forget about fulfilling our own desires. 0.4 degrees change in temperature of our body. That's it. What about other things? Don't we fear Allah? And I'm so amazed. I'm so amazed that our nafs has gotten so much gotten over ourselves so much that we cannot even do tawbah. We cannot even do tawbah properly. We do tawbah, next day we slip. This is who we are, our reality. We cannot have this feeling of Allah Ta'ala and His power over us and our reality in front of Him, we can never develop ourselves. There's no way. All of these self-development series, these sessions that we have are a waste of time. If we do not understand who we are in front of Allah, what's our reality? Our weakness. خُلِقَ الْإِنسَانُ ضَعِيفًا. Allah Ta'ala says human has been created weak. Our weakness in front of Allah Ta'ala. Our reality in front of Allah. The systems that are in us, complex system, small up and down, will actually, can destroy us. And Allah Ta'ala is in control of our life. He can take back our life any time, any moment. If we don't realize this, we will fail the test of dunya, the test of qabr, which is coming, one small little ditch, where there be nobody but me and my Rabb, and then the day of judgment, nafsi, 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 nobody will be able to think about anything but his own self on that day. And then the final abode, which will be based on how do we live this life. Please realize, understand your reality, understand Sharia, understand Sunnah. You're all here, mashallah, with for a very good cause, which is to learn about what does Allah Ta'ala want from us. But then act. Understand it, act. What are we doing? Studying the beautiful words of Allah in the morning, studying the beautiful words of our beloved Prophet ﷺ in the morning. Right? Subhanallah. This is what we are doing. And we go back home and we send these messages to these boys, and we send the WhatsApps and the Facebooks, messages and all of that, sending our selfies, engaging with the boys, making plans, secret plans to go out and meet with them. This is what we are doing. Allahu Akbar. If it is not nifaq, what else is this? If it's not hypocrisy, what else is this? Who are we fooling? Allah? يُخَادِعُونَ اللَّهَ وَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَمَا يَخْدَعُونَ إِلَّا أَنفُسَهُمْ. Allah Ta'ala says they try to deceive Allah and the people of Iman. He said they are not fooling anybody but their own selves. They're not deceiving anybody but their own selves. They're fooling themselves. They're deceiving themselves. Death is coming very soon. These sort of incidents that I mentioned in the beginning are an eye-opener for us. Nothing wrong. We all are going to Allah. 25-year-old going to Allah. Good for him. Left this dunya, this pathetic dunya, this filthy dunya. Went to Allah Ta'ala. Only if that he is prepared for it. And it's coming for us as well, this death. Anytime, any moment. So don't deceive yourself that you have to live for another 50 years. It can come any moment. Today, tonight, tomorrow, in a month's time, in a year's time, in 5 years' time, in a few years' time. But it's coming. Allah knows well. But we have to be ready for that at every single moment of our life. Don't deceive yourself. Please do not fool yourself. Work for the akhirah. Work for your qabr. Work for the day of judgment. Get out of this pathetic state of feeling small little things. Oh, why did he say so? Why did she say so? Why didn't he come to my birthday? Why didn't he call me on my birthday? Why didn't she attend my wedding? Why didn't she come on my daughter's wedding? Or why did he, etc. What are you doing? Come on. Get out of that. Get ready for Akhirat. Be concerned about yourself. Be concerned about yourself. What is my state? How is my prayer? When I stand up in front of Allah, how is my prayer? Do I have the awareness that I'm standing in front of Allah, to whom I'm going to meet with very, very soon? Do I have that awareness? Is my prayer good? If it's not good, let me work on my prayers. This is my concern. This is my worry. This is my problem. Not any other problem. My problem is Akhirat. And we are still in this pathetic mode of ours. Why? Same reason. We do not understand our reality. And our reality of this dunya and the reality in front of Allah Ta'ala. We don't understand who we are. Please, be strong. Be strong. Don't let your nafs overpower you. If the desires come, control it. For the sake of Allah. If you get angry, control it. For the sake of Allah. Don't get jealous. Don't be arrogant. Arrogant about what? About your pathetic state. About the fact that if you don't take bath for 2 days, you'll be stinking and nobody will want to sit with you anymore. Are you arrogant onto yourself that if you don't brush your teeth for 2 days, your mouth will be stinking and you will not be able to sit? Nobody will be want to sit with you anymore. Are you arrogant at a state, that if you don't flush your toilet, then if anybody goes after you, will have karahat and be smelling? Are you arrogant about this of your state? Are you arrogant about this of your state that you bleed for like days, every month? This state. Are you arrogant about this very fact that, 0.4 degrees change in temperature will put you in bed? Are you arrogant about that? Are you arrogant about your wealth that can go away any moment? Any moment? I went to South Africa last year, and one elderly man, very elderly man, he came to me and he said, please tell people about the reality of wealth. He said this to me, literally, more or less. He said, please, when you give your talks, tell people that they should not be arrogant about their wealth. He said that I have seen wealthy people becoming beggars in moments. He said, tell people that. He said, I was in Turkey, the earthquake came, people, every single thing that they had, they lost it in a moment in earthquakes. Wealthy people lost every single thing that they had earned all their life. He said, please tell people that. I've seen it in my eyes. Are we arrogant about that? What are we arrogant about? About what? What do we have? This is our state. And one accident, ma'azallah, can take away the beauty of our skin that we are so arrogant about. One of our friends, he got an accident, all of his skin got burnt. Subhanallah. One moment, my friends. One moment. Only if you realize. Please, don't let your nafs overpower you. Don't let shaitan overpower you. Live a life of Allah. Connect to Allah Ta'ala. Develop love of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala along with the fear. The reason I'm talking about the fear, because this is our problem. We don't have the fear of Allah. Both have to go hand in hand. We have to fear, but if shaitan then takes it to the other extreme, that we start losing hope, then we have to think about that love and the mercy of Allah Ta'ala, so that we don't become hopeless in our state as well. Then we have to drag ourselves back into the middle path. But for us, at this moment, what I know of all of us, we have to develop the fear of Allah Ta'ala also. That, Allah Ta'ala gives us, subhanAllah, it's mercy of Allah, that the moment we fulfill our desires by ourselves, we don't get AIDS right there and then. It's a mercy of Allah. We could have, isn't it? It's mercy of Allah that when we go and meet with these people, these boys, Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala does not give us skin cancer right away. It's a mercy of Allah Ta'ala that when we send our selfies, we don't get breast cancers right away. It's a mercy of Allah Ta'ala that, when we talk immodest, Allah Ta'ala does not take the power of our speech right away. It's the mercy of Allah that we listen to songs, music, Allah Ta'ala does not take our hearing right away. It's the mercy of Allah. Allah Ta'ala could have, that I gave you these blessings, you're misusing it, you don't deserve it. Give me back. He could have done that, right? It's mercy of Allah, it doesn't do it. But what if we become arrogant? And we misuse the mercy of Allah. And we continue misusing it. Then we should fear Allah. Even the mothers, you mothers, right? When you tell your children something politely, don't do it better, and she doesn't listen. You say it the second time in a little harsher tone, don't do it. Didn't I tell you, don't do it? And he doesn't listen. The third time you'll raise your voice a little bit more. And maybe if it's really deadly dangerous, you may go and you grab him with his hand and shake him. Wake up, don't you understand what I'm saying is good, but not good for you? This is the situation that we are taking ourselves in. We don't want Allah Ta'ala to wake us up and shake us up. Wake up. Don't you know what you're doing? Don't be arrogant people in front of Allah. Please realize, understand, Shariat, this beautiful Shariat. Allah Ta'ala is merciful, He's generous. He's so merciful. He loves us so much, more than our own mothers. But then only because we are running towards the fire, Allah Ta'ala then at a moment comes that Allah Ta'ala has to grab us from our back and pull us back. Where are you going? فَأَيْنَ تَذْهَبُونَ? Where are you going? Where are you going? You're jumping into the fire. Come back. That's why these things come. But we ourselves become the cause of that. مَا أَصَابَكُم مِّن مُّصِيبَةٍ فَبِمَا كَسَبَتْ أَيْدِيكُمْ. Allah Ta'ala says not a single problem, not a single calamity comes to you, but it is something that your own hands have earned. You invite that. It's not that Allah Ta'ala is ma'azallah, he is zalim or he's an oppressor. No. We invite that. Allah Ta'ala wakes us up because we are not waking up, we are sleepwalking. We don't realize our reality in front of Allah Ta'ala. That's our problem. Please wake up before it's too late. Please. Don't do it. Let's not become munafiqeen. Qala Allah wa qala Rasul, and this is our state at the end of the day. That's what we study all day. Qala Allah Ta'ala, tafsir of the Quran. Qala Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Studying beautiful hadith of our beloved Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. At the end of the day, this is what we do. Facebook, selfies, meetings, fulfilling our desires, arrogance, jealousy, hatred. SubhanAllah. What are we doing? Please wake up. فَأَيْنَ تَذْهَبُونَ? Where are you going? مَا غَرَّكَ بِرَبِّكَ الْكَرِيمِ. Allah Ta'ala says, what has deluded you from your such a generous Lord? بَلْ تُؤْثِرُونَ الْحَيَاةَ الدُّنْيَا. You prefer the life of this dunya. وَالْآخِرَةُ خَيْرٌ وَأَبْقَى. But the akhirah, the hereafter, is a better